but they're SBOB. And for that, I wouldn't worry this too much. There's still 14 weeks left in this regular season, but I'm very concerned.
Thank you.
That defense, we talk about the Bengals defense. We talk about the Cowboys defense. They're not that bad. I know you got a chart, and we'll see where they're ranked, and they've played two of the best offenses in the league in Buffalo and Detroit. But that ain't a championship defense. I mean, and I'll tell you, and Nick, I was serious when I said after week 1 that they are the only team that can beat them is themselves. Detroit beat them yesterday.
Yes.
Detroit beat them. And look, it wasn't a blowout, but they dominated the line of scrimmage. They rushed for 224 yards, all right? They only allowed the Ravens to get 85 yards rushing. That's the fewest amount of rushing yards the Ravens have had since Derrick Henry joined the team, since the season opener in 2022. That's 52 games they had rushed for more yards than that. And then last year they were first in yards, rushing yards for offense, and first in fewest rushing yards allowed.
Yes.
And Detroit just came in there like Dan Campbell and pushed them around. And so that's concerning. Offensively, they weren't good in the red zone. They haven't been good this year in the red zone so far. Last year, they were number 1 in the red zone. This year, they're like 17. So I expect that to get better. But it's kind of like if it's not one thing, it's another. Last week, the defense, it was the Browns, okay, but the defense was pretty good. This week, the defense fails you. The first week, Derrick Henry has a fumble. He's fumbled every game. I don't expect that to continue. But they are I know you think it's not good for them to face the Chiefs next week. I think that might be the best thing for them.
Oh. Well, listen, I mean, maybe. I have to say this, a couple things on a tough day for you. This is one of the reasons I love working with you, because I get irrationally angry at what I think is I don't get mad at bad commentary or what I think is incorrect commentary. I get really frustrated at what I think is inconsistent commentary. And what you said at the front end, which is correct, just like you had said, even if the Chiefs had lost to the Giants, or one of these teams is going to lose next week, you wouldn't be writing either one of them off to make the playoffs and potentially do damage in the playoffs. It would have been ridiculous, in my opinion. It is ridiculous, I should say, for folks who didn't have that mindset, which have been rife across sports media, that the Chiefs are in a 5-alarm fire, to then come on TV today and be like, man, the story is Detroit's really good. When right now, the Chiefs and Baltimore both have played one bottom feeder and one in a different type of ugly game. For the Chiefs, it was ugly because the offense couldn't get going. For the Ravens, it was ugly because in that Browns game, I didn't think the Ravens defense was that good against the Browns. It was just opportunistic. But the Browns moved the ball, and they both have lost two kind of mojo-sapping games against two other contenders. But I will also try to be consistent and say I agree with you, Brew. I think the Ravens are fine when it comes to are they going to make the playoffs. I think they lose Sunday and be fine. They could maybe lose the week after, and I'd still be like, in the AFC, because it's really hard to find the 7 playoff teams without Baltimore and Kansas City being in. Fine.
You got at least 6 losses.
Right, exactly. Fine for the playoffs. But what I will not say is that the Ravens are fine. Like, I think they are fine for the playoffs. Lamar seemed pressed in the opening drive. Like, he played well, and then we pulled a montage of every time they didn't score a touchdown.
Oh, yeah, he was
they were coming off a win against a team that they rolled the last time they played, that plays in a conference that he always beats at home on Monday night, where you would he seemed pressed throughout. Obviously,
even on the field, he's looking, at the play call.
Exactly. He seemed stressed in a way. To be fair, the Chiefs have seemed stressed thus far this year, but the Chiefs weren't coming off a win by 3 scores. Like this was weird. Derrick Henry obviously flipped out on the lost fumble. I'm glad you're not attributing the loss to the fumble, because they could have won it had he not, but that's not why they lost.
Right.
And there's just a lot of weird stuff going on with Baltimore, and it all does really come down to this. Their defense is awful. And again, I will try to be fair. The Chiefs without their top two receivers, they're without Kyle Van Noy and Matabuke.
Yep.
Now, Matabuke, it's kind of a nebulous, scary neck thing, so we don't know how long he's going to be out.
He would have helped, obviously, against the run.
Yes, and Van Noy should be back. But this is what was so jarring. They got bullied. Those two 95-plus yard drives running down your throat, the Lions, and I'm not being funny, did come in their house, put their feet up, and they did everything that had made the Ravens the Ravens.
Yep.
And for the Ravens now, Wilds, for the first time since Lamar became a starter, back-to-back games without 100 yards rushing. First time since Lamar took over, back-to-back games without 100 yards rushing. For them to, for the first time in a while, it felt to me like lose a big game without the self-inflicted wounds. I know Derrick Henry fumbled, but it felt to me like Detroit was in control of that game, and it was going to take. And I'm going to say one other thing about Lamar, because they showed it during the game, that Lamar averages less than one throwaway per game over however many games. Maybe throw it away a little more, or get back to running a little more. His refusal to get rid of the ball or take off and run really hurt him yesterday in those sacks. I know his numbers were great. I get all that. But the sacks were drive killers, and he took 7 of them.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, I echo a lot of this. You know, I think there's a lot of good things here to unpack. The thing that I'll disagree with, though, with Nick at the top, though, about, you know, trying to compare this to the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes has been playing poorly, and the Kansas City Chiefs offense has been playing poorly, whereas that is not the case with this Baltimore Ravens team. So when you say, oh, well, you can't say that you're not concerned about the Ravens, but then you're concerned about the Chiefs, it's like, well, like, you know, like, it's, what are you talking about? Like, Lamar Jackson played amazing against a top team in the NFL, the Buffalo Bills. Okay, week 1 on the road. Like, he played awesome, out of this world. We are yet to see an out of this world game from Patrick Mahomes. We did not see him be awesome against the Chargers, the Eagles, etc. So, like, it's a huge line to draw here. Not everything has to constantly be compared to the Chiefs in that regard. When I try to use the Chiefs as a reference point, I'm using them as a gold standard point to be like, hey, like, what, you know, this is what we always say about the Chiefs, so then this is what we're saying about here. But, like, to just be like, well, it's not fair that people could say that they're concerned about the Chiefs, but, like, not concerned about the Ravens. So it's like, I disagree with that. With that said, I do have concerns about the Ravens. And I'll continue now where Nick ended about throwing the ball, about you know, Lamar throwing the ball away and whatnot. And yeah, those sacks were not good, and a lot of them were on him. And it's something that he needs to evolve and grow and be better at. I mean, it's just, heavy is the head that wears a crown, man. Like, I think Lamar is elite. I think Lamar is special. I think Lamar is one of the best to ever do it. And when you can say those things, then you get held to the highest standard. And there's sometimes you're taking sacks and you're just like, oh man, there's just nowhere to go with it. But, like, there were opportunities for him to run, and he just looked so indecisive. He was so unsure. It was just like a stop and start left and right. And it was just like, I've never seen Lamar really play like that. Like, that shocked me more than anything. I'm watching this game and I'm thinking, like, oh, here's Lamar. He's about to do something special. And then it just, like, didn't happen. And then it just, he gets sacked. And I was like, when it happened like a couple times, I was like, okay, well, that happens, you know. It's like Steph Curry's going to airball. I always refer to Steph Curry because they're two players that just do things that, like, you're not supposed to do in their respective sports. And it's just like, you know, and I forget who said this, but I might have actually been Colin, and I think he was really spot on with this, where he's just like, listen, when you're that special, when you're that elite, when you can do some of the craziest things that, anybody could ever see, he's like, you're going to have some ugly moments, right? Steph Curry is going to take some bad shots. He's going to do things that you're just like, why would you ever do that? And it's because there's so much other greatness in him that you just have to kind of accept that. And in order for him to be that great, you're just going to have to accept some of those random low points that even an average player won't have on their resume, because they can't even remotely take that chance. And so like Lamar is going to have a moment when he tries to scramble and he takes a really bad sack, because we've seen him so many times put himself like up against the wall and find his way through it. And you're just like, oh my gosh, that was insane. And so when I'm watching that happen a couple times, I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's the one bad moment, right? That's the air ball 3. That's the behind the back pass that just goes nowhere. It goes, into the stands. But then it kept happening and happening and happening. And I was like, what is this? And again, Lamar is great. So of course he's going to have some good stats, and he's going to put up, he's going to have some beautiful throws and some beautiful moments. But like, that was not a great Lamar Jackson game. And when I made my video about the herd, people are like, you're blaming Lamar for the loss. And it's like, I'm not blaming Lamar. Not once did I ever blame Lamar for that loss at all. But I do expect him to be better. And in a game where his defense isn't at its best, I expect him to elevate. I expect him to do even more. And just the offense as a whole, not Lamar individually. Like, I actually, when I say that, I actually really mean the offense as a whole. And the abandonment of the running game. And it's just like, and again, the passing game is always just so unstructured. It really is always just like Lamar calls hike, and it's just kind of like a wait and see type of situation. And it's just like, all right, let's see what we kind of got here. Like, nothing ever feels intentional. Lamar at this, in his press conference came out and said, the Detroit Lions had a great game plan offensively and defensively. And that when I hear him say that, I think to myself, what the heck were the Baltimore Ravens game plan? I'm like, what the heck were the Baltimore Ravens game plan? Like, what was that? And so I think like the defense is problematic and concerning, but to just focus on the defense is like, that's the problem. It's like, no, because the offense didn't feel good. The offense didn't feel successful. The offense didn't feel dominant and imposing. And when I think of the Baltimore Ravens, that's what I think about. I know the defense, especially with Harbaugh as the head coach and just the history of them all. You think defense, but obviously ever since Lamar's there, I just think like, phew, good luck, man. Especially with Lamar and Derrick Henry, like it's imposing, it's exhausting. Like, and I felt that way about the Detroit Lions offense. You watch this game and you think, I feel better about the Detroit Lions offense than I do the Baltimore Ravens offense. And that's a problem. That's not a takeaway that should ever be the case when you have Lamar Jackson as the quarterback. And this was a game when you were just like, this is just one of those games where they were off. What are you going to do? It happens. Or that it was like, gosh, they keep, hurting themselves here. It was like, no, the Detroit Lions were just better everywhere. And like, that's jarring. That's absolutely jarring. It was jarring to see Lamar Jackson feel so indecisive. And, when Nick said that he was so pressed, he's meaning like that he's angry, that he's on edge, that he was irritable. And it's true. And that's why I highlighted this previously. It's just like, take a page out of Jalen Hurts' book, man. Like Jalen Hurts is like this no matter what. They have the blocked field goal and they win the game, and everyone's going insane, and the fans are going insane, and the team, the Eagles, the team, the players are going insane, the coaching staff's going insane, and he's just like this the whole time. And when he gets blown up and sacked and a fumble, and now they're about to go down 26-7, it's just like, it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. And yet every little thing always affects Lamar. And you see Derrick Henry getting all upset. And like at one point, Lamar even need to be like consoled a little bit. And it's just like, he's got to be the leader. He's got to be the adult. He's got to be the one. I mean, he is Lamar Jackson. And it's a part of his game, of his leadership that you want to be able to see mature and grow and evolve. I mean, like that's what it takes. And he even talked about this last summer when he was like in the hot tub or the ice bath or whatever the heck it was, where he's just like, growing as a leader. And it's like, well, that's it. That's it right there. You got, the Lions were, the Ravens were still in this game even after the fumble. Troy Aikman pointed it out, and he's just like, hey, they can still win this game. You got to get Derrick Henry, right? You got to get Derrick Henry in a better headspace because they're going to need him. And yet the team had already given up. And I find that alarming coming off a weekend, coming off of a Sunday where we saw wild wins. The Eagles come back, the blocked field goals, the Cleveland Browns beating the Packers, the Jets blocking a field goal to score a touchdown, only to then have the Bucs come back and win. We've seen wild games, and yet you're watching this and you're like, the Ravens don't have any feeling like they can win this game or that this game isn't over. And then there was multiple moments and gotta have it moments, and that Ravens offense could not answer the call. That's what concerns me more than anything. There were moments when you're just like, all right, the Ravens absolutely have to have a big drive here, and nothing happens. And you're just like, oh, wow. What? That, and that's when I'm just like, wait, huh? And it just didn't happen. Those are where my concerns come from. It's I'm not concerned about Lamar in a vacuum. I'm not concerned that Lamar is not a good enough quarterback. I'm not concerned, that this team is just going nowhere fast. My concerns at the core of it are I expect this team to be great. I expect this team to be special. I expect this team to just make you feel like this is a top team in the NFL. I'm the one that kept saying, this is a top team in the NFL. This is a top team in the NFL. When they lost against the Bills, I'm like, I feel better about the Ravens than I do the Bills, right? I'm still when the Kansas City Chiefs played their 3 games and before the Ravens played this game, I'm thinking to myself, man, the Ravens have zero excuse to lose to the Chiefs. The Chiefs are not fully right. Mahomes is not playing well. That defense is not as scary as it once was. The offense is not complete. Xavier Worthy's banged up. Rashee Rice isn't even there. No excuses. Lamar Jackson, you're elite. You're special. Derrick Henry, you're a monster. This is the Baltimore Ravens. You better win this game, because if you can't beat the Chiefs when they're incomplete, then when are you going to be able to beat them? Get after it. It should be a game start to finish that just feels like you are in control. And now I'm like, oh gosh, all hands on deck. I don't know who's going to win that game now. And it's just and that is why I think Brew's kind of saying it's an important game for them, and it's actually probably a good thing for them, because if you beat the Chiefs, then that will feel great. But I was just I was expecting the Ravens to really be able to show, hey, we're in control. That if you're not fully right, if you're not fully healthy, if you're not playing at your best, good luck, you're not going to beat us. And it's just I can't say that with a strong feeling right now. And so that's concerning. It's not doom and gloom. I'm not saying, the Ravens are done, it's over, they have no chance, because it's the beginning, it's early on in the season, but to pretend you shouldn't be concerned or you shouldn't be frustrated by a game like that, it's just lying. And this is why when I gave a nuanced and a consistent, speaking of consistency, conversation about the Baltimore Ravens against the Browns, and I discussed it, it was such a weird response in the comment section, because I said I wasn't impressed with that win, because I was it's the it's the Cleveland Browns, etc., and I said Lamar played great, and etc., and yet people just had weird comments. I was actually going to make a video about that video because I wanted to watch it with everyone and be like, look what I said in here. Look at the statement that I said. Lamar Jackson is so great. I believe in this team so much. I think that they're the best. I think they're a top team in the NFL. And now let's read the comments. People were acting. The guy said the Ravens are awful. They're bad. They're not good. It was just bizarre to me. And like I said, I still do want to make a video about that because it's fascinating, and you can see how people interpret things so just downright wrong here. And then we have a game like this. And this is a game exactly why I'm not impressed by you beating the Cleveland Browns, because that means nothing to me. And when I see a game like this against the Lions, I'm like, what is that? That just shouldn't be. They really only scored 24 points when it actually mattered. And there was moments in the game when it was like, okay, you can take the lead here. You can tie the game up. And you just struggled to make it even remotely feel like you had a chance. That's concerning. That's not what I'm used to seeing out of the Baltimore Ravens. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson, and anyone else you want to throw into that pile? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.